Hello, lovelies. We're going to play with color. Let's see, I start out here first with a piece of Strathmore mixed media paper, and I've taken a permanent marker and just put some expressive lines on it. And now I'm getting out some Nova Color acrylics, and I'm just going to start playing. I don't have a plan in mind. I thought I would talk you through it while I'm showing you, and also just kind of tell you what's been going on. We got back from Italy, and I think if you get my newsletter, then you saw the pictures. If you don't get my newsletter, just go to SuzanneAllard.com and you'll see a button to sign up for my newsletter, which I try to do. I don't know. I'd like to do it every other week, but I end up doing it about once a month. So anyway, it is what it is. But the Italy trip was a lot of great inspiration. I think some of this color and just excitement in this, starting this one, is from that trip. But also what I've been experiencing that I thought I'd talk about, and it's kind of funny because I've been seeing, I get artist newsletters just like you do, and I've been seeing the topic of creator's block or painter's block coming up, and I thought, well, that's interesting because I'm experiencing it and I want to talk about it in my next newsletter, which maybe will be next week, but I thought we'd chat a little bit about it now. You can see here back to the artwork that I've realized this is going to be messy. I might want to do some finger paintings, so I've put on my gloves. I've switched to these, let me see, what are these gloves? They're better than they're better than the rubber ones. These are the latex powder free. I think I've got a link to them on supplies on my website as well. Under supplies, I have my supply lists in two places. I have an Amazon store and a Blick art supply store. And I try to keep up with putting everything I use and recommend and like in both of those places. So if there's something that I mentioned that's not there, let me know, because what I do is I order a variety of, let's say, gloves, try them all, and then pick my favorite and put it on there. So now I'm just taking some gesso and scraping through it, sticking with cooler colors for this first layer. I have some Payne's Gray there. That's the one that looks almost black. It's my favorite dark. And then now I'm moving to warmer colors. And I haven't washed my brush because I'm just getting down stuff. I'm just getting down layers. And I'm playing because, back to the painter's block or creative block, I think it's just the disruption of moving, and because we moved back to Virginia, looking for a house, we're renting. I don't know, I just have been feeling stuck. And so, as I say, got to take your own advice. When you feel that way, just do what sounds very easy, approachable, and or fun. And ideally all the above. And for me, that ends up being just color, texture. I love brush strokes. I love mixing color like I'm doing here, and being playful. The second part of this video, you'll see me pull out a new sketchbook, which I actually made, and that's a whole other thing. I'm perfecting I'm practicing, making all the mistakes so that I can share with you the process when I get all the bugs worked out. But I titled it Just Play because I think what happens, at least for me, the creative block can happen when I'm taking things too seriously. It can happen for a variety of reasons for me. Like either I'm burned out, I've just been doing too much, or I'm feeling too much pressure. And we all know that, with social media, that's real. I mean, if you've got an art business, you've got to post ideally every other day. I'm probably at 3 times a week right now, but I keep that up even when I'm on vacation, which means I've got to either do it on vacation or preload it. And I love sharing and posting, but it's still something that you feel, you've got to share. And the pressure is, oh, it's got to be, Instagram worthy. It's got to be a beautiful piece. Well, that's just a lot of pressure to produce that on top of everything else. And I love making classes, and so I think I had some burnout, and so a couple things I've done is I'm posting more process shots now, and honestly, they don't get the views that the finished gorgeous pieces do, because Instagram, the algorithm is all about, what catches your eye, and a process piece of something that's not quite done is not as, doesn't have the wow factor that a fully developed piece has. But I've decided it doesn't matter. I'm not going to worry about that. So that's one thing I've decided to do, is not buy into or just not participate in the idea that it has to be a gorgeous shot every Instagram post. And let's see, I'm just going back like this to playing. These are my pots that I always seem to like to put in. And I'm staying with pretty limited colors here. I've got cobalt blue there. I've got the fluorescent pink, the Payne's gray, a yellow. I think it's just cad yellow. And I'm mixing from those. And also, you'll see me, something I'm going to focus on more and bring to, probably do not a class all about it, but a class that's focused on the textured brush strokes. So putting down a brush stroke and leaving it, not fussing, because they're so beautiful. And sometimes when we just keep monkeying with them, we overwork it and we lose that sort of freshness that's with a brush stroke. The key to that, though, and you're seeing I struggled with that on that last leaf a little bit, is you have to have enough paint on your brush to put that stroke down and leave it. So there I've put a second coat, and you can see the ridges of the brush, and I just love that. So yeah, so I'm playing here with color, brush stroke, which gives me texture I love, intentionally thinking about not overworking, and enjoying the process. Also doing it like this and letting it flow, and then recording over it like this is helpful to me, because then I can just really be in the flow when I'm painting. Although I do love painting and talking to you at the same time. It's just a little bit different. So if you're experiencing creative block or painter's block, look at, is it fatigue? Is it burnout? Is it fear? Those are the big ones for me. I've been really taking a lot of classes lately and trying some things that I'm not comfortable with, like drawing, and finding a drawing style that works for me, because I'll talk about what I'm doing here on the artwork here in a minute. But I find for me that when I am trying something new, when I'm exploring new territory that I'm not confident in, I can have a lot of block, like resistance, basically, you know, like Stephen Pressfield talks about in The Art of War, or no, War of Art. War of Art, that's on my recommended books, which is, if you hit supplies, you'll see also books. But it's a great book about just the resistance that comes with creating. And for me, it shows up when I'm in particular when I'm trying to learn something new. So I think that's good because it helps me remember where a lot of you who are just starting with me, taking my classes, you know that, and I see in the Facebook group all the time, the student Facebook group, people saying, I've bought the classes, but I just haven't started. I'm scared. And even though we're at a different part, you know, in the journey, I can so relate to those feelings, to feeling that way, to just feeling too scared. I'll draw tomorrow, or I'll work on faces. That's another area that I'm like, ugh. I'll practice faces tomorrow, or whatever it is that I'm challenging myself to do that I don't have confidence in. And anyway, I just think it's interesting that that's when, excuse me, the chatter and the resistance gets stronger. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm doing. I took a piece of rice paper, which is a Japanese paper made out of mulberry, and I bought it because it's part of my sketchbook making process. And as I was handling it, and then I read that it was created for calligraphy and watercolor, and which I'm still going to try. It's very thin. I said, well, let me just throw a piece of this with some medium, and I just grabbed the Jerry's Artarama acrylic medium that I had there, and I threw that in there because my motto for the month is just play. So that's what I'm doing, and then I'm just continuing to play. I'm also figuring out what's the next class I want to create. I've got 4 ideas, so I'm excited about all of them. So I'm just trying to sit with those, and I'd like to get those going, and we're planning on going up to northern Michigan by Traverse City in September, so I'd like to get this next class done in the next month, and I'm just making myself wait and make sure that I'm picking the one that I want to do next. What I usually do with classes and with art is, I can go in multiple directions, right? We have multiple things that interest us at once usually, and so I kind of lay them out in my journal, and then I put a little bit of structure behind them, like what would be in the class, very loosely, what some modules might be, what it might look like. And then I sit with it and see which one excites me the most. Because if I'm, obviously that comes across, that I'm excited to show you, all about it. And then the class just kind of develops itself. So here you see me mixing this bright green, and see how I'm just laying the brush down, and that's it. But you can probably see my hand about to go and mess with it more. Have my mind saying, no, you put down the stroke, stop, and I think it's a habit, because I have been from time to time a scrubber, and so I do like kind of that feeling of scrubbing and the texture of scrubbing, so I'm not gonna forbid myself from scrubbing, but right now I'm working on one brush stroke, put it down, get the color you want in, get enough paint on there, put it down and leave it. So that's what I'm playing with here. But if you have ideas, or if you've run into painter's block or creative block, artist block, sometimes it's called. Clearly, it's a thing, right? Because all you have to do is Google it, and it has different names, and just like writer's block. And if you have challenges with it or strategies, share in the comments, because I'm sure others would enjoy. Also, as you're watching me mix color, remember, if you don't know, or if you do know, okay, let me just tell you about the color mixing class I created that is free. I put together an ebook, I think it's about 13 pages, with some of my designs and some resources, and I actually spent quite a bit of time on it, and then I created an online class, 7 modules, and it's called the Color Mixing Success Class, and I will put a link to it below in the description. You can also see, I just added it this morning on my website at the banner along the top, that you can sign up for it there. And the way I've structured it is, I think each week you get a new video will come to you automatically to your email. And it's a great way to learn about how part of the ways that I've learned to explore color. I think I could just explore color, full time. I don't know. I think that I love color first, and maybe painting is just a way to get there. Because before I painted, even as a teenager, I was drawn to needlepoint, and then, let's see, I'm trying to remember my progression. I guess it went into kind of embroidery, and then we had sort of a farm, and I went to a fiber festival and got hooked on that whole thing, and ended up getting a spinning wheel, and before that I was knitting and crocheting, but of course once I got the spinning wheel, and then I got fleece and started dyeing fleece and making yarn that I would knit with, and anyway, but what drew me was color and texture. And then I got into felting, and so color has just always drawn me. And inspiration is everywhere. I don't have, for this one, I didn't pull up a image on my phone, but it's probably just in my brain, because I've always taken pictures. We were at a little town here in Virginia Saturday, and there were some gift shops that had some South American, like fabrics and pillows and things, and I was taking pictures of those, and the background was hot pink. So I came home that night and I started something in the sketchbook that's going to have a hot pink background. And so, yeah, very much stimulated by color. I'm really liking on this piece the pink in the bottom right, sort of flowery things, or maybe they're leaves, who knows. And that's the fluorescent pink mixed with a little bit of the cad yellow. The fluorescent pink is really amazing. Probably not too much straight out of the tube or bottle in this case, but I mix it a lot with things. So now I'm taking some oil pastels, which give me that juicy, oily, thick texture, and I'm just playing. I'm also thinking, I remember as I added this lavender, that don't add any more colors. Just don't this. I don't want any more colors. I want to play with what I've got. There's plenty there. I can mix them and make, but I don't want to introduce new colors. Because I just added some turquoise, which just a little pop, and it's kind of one of my signature things, I guess. So I don't mind that, but I was telling myself, okay, that's enough color variety. Anything else, I can mix. Okay, now I'm letting that dry, and here's the journal I was saying, the sketchbook that I made. I actually made the whole thing, like the hardcover the fabric, the papers are watercolor papers. I stitched it, glued it, and I've been doing landscapes in it. But you saw on the front, I painted the cover, Just Play, and then the first page says, are you having fun? Just as a reminder to me to make sure that I'm having fun, not taking it too seriously. And this has turned into, although I'm not going to make myself stay there, I think I've only got 4 spreads in this, but it's turned into landscapes, and which is fine because I'm working on those anyway for a future class inspired by Italy. But I don't want to tell myself, okay, now that you've got 4 spreads, you know, you've got to make them all, the whole book landscape. No, I'm going to remember what I said on the cover, just play, and are you having fun? And if I flip it into the next page and want to do a floral or an abstract or something, I'm going to let myself do whatever I want in this book. The theme is just play. But I decided to start with just a sky here, and I'm taking a variety of colors and trying to keep my strokes going horizontally, just filling in, using some gesso. And yeah, the sketchbook making thing is so funny. It's just so classic me. I learned about it, and of course I have plenty of sketchbooks. I mean, I have plenty, but I thought making your own, like from scratch, you know, there's something that appeals to me. I think that was when I was doing the felting and the knitting, I thought, ooh, I love to go down the value chain, which is to say, instead of buying yarn, make yarn. And then instead of starting with roving, which is what is used to spin yarn, go back further. And then my challenge became to buy, which I did at the Fiber Festival, an actual like raw fleece, dirty fleece that had just been taken off a sheep. And then I processed it by hand, which means if you've never washed a fleece, it's pretty nasty, and you have to do a certain way, and so that it doesn't, you know, you can imagine, so that it doesn't start shrinking on you. So I went way down the value chain on that, and my challenge was to make a sweater. I wanted to make a sweater or a scarf or something all the way from the fleece to the clothing article. And, you know, I just went down that whole process for years, and it was really fun. So maybe it was the same thing that appealed to me here, and I thought, okay, I paint in sketchbooks, that's kind of my thing, so let me make a sketchbook. And now I've made 2 or 3, and they're not perfect, but I'm learning, and it's fun. And like I said, I'll share. But a friend of mine said, well, now you're just going to have to go make the paper that you put in the sketchbook and go all the way down I'm not going to grow the trees. So that's just too far. And I don't think I'm going to make the paper, because watercolor paper is, you know, and mixed media paper are their own thing. But who knows? So that's me, just traveling through and letting these interests that pop up, and, you know, just following them. My husband said, do you need a sketchbook? And I said, well, of course not. That has nothing to do with it. Oh, I like what I did here. I took good thing, because I had gloves on, I took my fingernails. And it was the first time I've done that. I usually use the back of my brush, but I really liked the kind of organic feel that it gave that bit. And of course, I love that green. I'm obsessed with that green. So let's see. I think I brought you up to date on my news. Yeah, it's so relaxing to just do this kind of thing and slow. And you see how I'm leaving some dry brush, letting the pink show through a little bit. Well, I think what I'm going to do is let you just watch the rest without my chatter. And maybe I'll put some music on here for you. Although I kind of like videos without music, but I've done that and people sometimes have said it's weird without music or it's awkward or something. So I'll tell you what, I will put on a very soft, right? There's nothing more annoying than obnoxious, loud music, especially when somebody's talking on the video too. That's just a pet peeve of mine. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this and do share if you have any ideas for creative block, or if you just say, yeah, me too. And check out the color mixing class that's free. What else do I have to tell you? Make sure you sign up for my newsletter if you want to, and check out the supplies list. By the way, when you buy supplies through Blick or my Blick list or my Amazon list, I get a tiny percentage, which helps. Even if you go on Amazon and go in and get one art supply and then do other shopping, they still give their affiliates a little bit of that, which is really nice. So appreciate that. And on YouTube, I now have this little thanks button at the bottom right, and it don't need to, of course, obviously, but if you're so inclined to, I think you can. I did it the other day. I can't remember. Oh, I think I was watching a YouTube on bookbinding, and I just clicked it, and I could pick an amount, and I picked $2, and I sent her $2. It was so easy. Anyway, so I got that on my YouTube channel. If you're interested. All right. Well, listen. Enjoy. And I think there's about 4 more minutes of this, and it did cut out right before I finished and got other layers on the trees, but the picture at the very beginning is where it is now. I'm probably going to go in and add some more details and play with it, but have fun playing.